botanical gardens here. I'm not sure I have any interest in it, although the buildings are pretty. But maybe tomorrow when I have the day off, I might come here. At the very least, it'll be a pretty park-like experience. We'll wait until tomorrow and find out. Interesting building just because it's so narrow into this little corner space. Structure must be something. I don't know what it is, but I found the end of it. Or one end of it, or a corner of a fortress perhaps. Like a protrusion out from the corner of a fortress. But I don't know what it is. I'll have to research that a bit. A day when all of these buildings were also fresh and new. Like that one, it might have been a classic. It's interesting, whatever it is, tucked back inside of these buildings. It's the remnant of something. Looks like it's got pipes going up in. Yeah, those are clay pipes, I think. Looks like several going up in there in a cavity that once existed in that wall. That last little snippet of architecture I looked at was down there about where those white sheets are hanging on the left side and to the right. But where I came out is where we were, I think, maybe yesterday. And this is that portal that goes down to the beach, if you will. Another one of those obelisk type things. And the only thing that seems relevant is that rock sticking out of the side of the building behind it. And what's left of this building, which doesn't look as old. Also that it has pipes in it, and once had those ladder-like rungs to get up to the top of something. Where that hardware up there was. This. It'd be fun to know the story. Maybe it's the way that they put in plumbing just when plumbing had started to emerge. Who knows how far back this goes? Huh. Closer look at the joint just so we can see what it's like. Kind of looks like the bigger pipes I've seen on this trip, including in Greece. That may be what this is. Novel portal, big, impressive. The whole side of this building impressive, even though it's that Norman design, it seems like. Look at the gargoyles that spew water out from there. This was one wealthy dude's place. What would be fascinating is what's behind this wall. Man's family crest. Looks like a griffin on a shield. Mania Varroa and Mana Everon or something. 1495. Just across the street, a place that doesn't rival it, but was probably quite an important person nevertheless, but not that important. Probably a church. And behind me is a street that goes down to where I did end up yesterday, and that was at the Palace of Steri and that Steri Park. Flea market. Some old cowbells, but probably that one's not for cows, but maybe for goat. This one may be goat or sheep, same with that one. In the day when those things, these things, the trolleys, dangerous, seems to me, but nostalgic. It's too bad they don't have them still. This is, but the dog does. It knows it's a place it can get good drinking water. And it does. There, another church up there, in fact. Yeah. I won't wander that way because I think I went that way once before. Now he's going to go over and lie down where it's cool and go sleep. Look like the street has built up over time since this large mansion was built. So Custos. This is kind of an analog of what I saw yesterday, those two tall pillar-like things that had pipes in it. This is the modern analog where your infrastructure comes in at the bottom and then you go up and feeds to this. I forget what we call that when you've got a kind of a hub of these meters, and then they section off everything from there to all these different units. Even running these things, you can see inside the walls somehow. But here a whole bunch of it running inside there that they've then plastered over. I don't think this is the church. I just think it's a very dramatic entry for one of those expensive homes. But who knows what it could be from the past. But whatever's rocked it, apparently trucks hitting it, rocked that one column, jarred it off center. Not door knocker, the Egyptian it looks like. Maybe a female version of it. And they adorn this old door. Notice that's a mini door so people can go through without opening up the whole thing. Whatever that means. But it once had. It's interesting that light remains. You think someone would have stolen it for some reason, because nothing much else remains of this building. It's interesting that this big barricade would be installed here for this alley, which is really steps. How there are drainage stones underneath this stairway. Underneath this nicely restored building, it looks like they're doing some archaeological excavation of the original foundations of something. Here again, a large restored building. Actually, it's part of that other one, I believe, that we saw. Apparently that last building we were videoing was a government building that the police popped their horn at me and didn't want me to video it. Try to find a place I haven't been into before, but just quickly or reasonably quickly discover I have, so I recognize it. This actually might be the kind of lamp that the city puts up, because this building is fine, it's not a wreck at all. Here's an interesting church in a way. I wonder what those big holes, they look like bullet holes or some kind of shrapnel like you see in Bosnia. There's the clock tower. This is not doesn't look like an old church, because that's just a little affectation thrown in. Doesn't seem well planned, but on the other hand, what's interesting is this balcony up there. That was a pretty building in its day. It's an interesting modern building buried in this neighborhood. There's a ticket kiosk there and a church down there. I think this little thing I'm calling a creche. The Cappellina Fondata. Cappellina probably means very small chapel, or exactly this. 1887, but then renovated 1967. There it is. That's a pretty sturdy barrier or barricade, a double one if you will, along with these protective windows. Whatever it is, it's a pretty large and sophisticated and nicely designed in some certain modernistic style on this square, which also has a very pretty church. Interesting structure, wings maybe it represents, but this whole thing must be a big government complex of some sort. Got some names of probably important government officials or historical figures. Again, you get the heavy sense of government administration. Probably EU money if it could be that age or that era. I'm not sure. There's a tower peeking up from that church we just looked at. I don't know what this old remnant is, but it looks like it should be the entrance to something big. But it may be just the remnant of something. I can't tell. Porta Carine, yes, it is the entranceway to something. So this may be one of the old portals into the walled city, whatever that means. Now I'm standing on the other side, and the only thing I can guess at is it once was a freestanding tower, for lack of a better term, because you can see how this building's just been built right into the side of it. It's interesting, that chunk of cement up there with what looks like a steel band on it, or an iron band, would have held the top of the pivot posts for a large swinging door. Here on this adjoining one, the same device. This is a neighborhood of old classical buildings, I think, whatever old classical means in this context, but they remind me more of unrefinished old furniture. They're old, their paint's old, but it's not tattered and weathered and in shambles. Here's the other side of the street. Price of a small medium cup of ice cream was €7, which is outrageous, and a tiny one, small one, was $3. Street, which is normally busy during the week, is a pedestrian street now. The part behind me generally was last week, but now they've extended it apparently. I forget what they call it in Bulgaria and other places when people come out and just walk the street back and forth. It's a way of seeing and being seen. This is rich but dark Baroque. That's my description. And I just sat through a mass. Haven't done that, if at all, in at least, I would guess, 65 years. There's some very ornate work, and a little bit lighter, quite a bit lighter or brighter than everything else in the church. Notice the candles are electrical. Or perhaps the family's coat of arms, although there appear to be more than one coat of arms in this ensemble.